Tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mihi nui ki a koutou I tēnei rā. Ko Marietta Smith tuku ingoa. No Awhirika ki te tonga ahau o Tamaki Makaurau e noho nei au ko pauwhakaari o te uru tangata. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. It is lovely to be with you today. I am Marietta Smith. I will be your MC for the next 2 days. And I want to start off by saying a really, really big thank you. Ngā mihi nui ki a koe, Phil, for leading us and introducing the board and just showing how incredible the past 5 years were with all of the ups and the downs, leading us to in this space today. So I will be looking at just keeping us on track throughout the next couple of days. But before that, let's just do a little bit of housekeeping. So internet access, for those who want to know, we've got complimentary Wi-Fi. And apologies for that. So if you open your browser, you will see there's Takina Events. If you enter events as the password, you would be able to get Wi-Fi. Phones, I've got mine for timekeeping, but yours need to be off, please. So throughout the conference, but please, if you want to, do we X or do we tweet? What do we do nowadays? We X. So if you want to post anything, just please spread the word on the fantastic work that's happening here. But throughout the sessions, phones off. Toilets and accessibility. So if we walk that way for bathrooms, you walk, you keep walking across the red dot. You will get all your steps in. Turn to your left. All of the bathrooms are there. There are accessibility bathrooms, and there are also all gender bathrooms right at the entrance on the ground floor. For evacuations, if there's fire, the team from Te Papa will lead us in the right direction. So there is assembly points at either the museum forecourt or near the Circa Theatre just over Barnett Street. In the unlikely event of earthquakes and tsunamis, earthquakes, just again stay away from the windows, stay in point, and the team drop to the ground. The visitor services team will come and help. And if there's a tsunami, the gathering point is on the 4th floor. But again, the visitor team will come and help for that. So, and then one last thing, there's participation. You've got some books on your tables and pens. Just mark that and keep notes throughout the next couple of days. So that'll be quite a handy record of what we've experienced throughout these days. So, and that's the practical side of the things. All sorted out, and we are ready to dive in. So once again, no mai, haere mai. Let's settle ourselves here. This is a gift. It's a taonga that we have to be here, to be able to look at how are we carrying the legacy of this phenomenal organization, ConCOVE Tūhura, forward. How do we not see this as end? How do we see this as a transformation of the mandate? I absolutely love the reference to charmingly naive, because that is really just giving us the impetus to look at how do we do this better going forward, because there are such big issues that we need to solve in this sector. So for now, it is my very, very great pleasure to introduce somebody that all of you know by now, someone who I have the pleasure of calling a former colleague, an inspiration, a wahine tua, the driving force behind this kaupapa, Katherine Hall. Now, for those of you who don't know, Katherine has led ConCOVE Tūhura since 2022. She brought with her a master's in technological futures from the Tech Futures Lab. She's got experience in design thinking from Stanford University, and she knows vocational education inside out, having worked in 2 of the major ITOs, industry training organizations, before the reforms, as well as in industry itself. So Katherine, like you say, proudly declare your safety boots to be your safest pair of shoes. She is going to set the scene with a turning point, transforming vocational pathways in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Welcome, Katherine.
Thank you. Clicker, big green button. Kia ora koutou, and welcome to our final event. It's very rare that you get to stand in front of a room where you know most, if not all, of the people. And as I was saying to a few of you before we commenced today, we feel very supported. So thank you very much for being here with us today. It is a very special moment for the team, and we have come a long way. When we began in 2020, our mission was clear: to bridge the gap between the vocational education system and the real needs of the construction and infrastructure sector. Since then, we've worked alongside employers, industry, providers and learners to identify gaps, remove barriers and create opportunities, guided by equity, by innovation and relevance. Naive we might have been, but boy, we gave it a good crack. Together we've delivered somewhere around 30 projects, providing insights that have shaped thinking and decisions across the country. We've connected people through events in Whangarei, Auckland, Hamilton, Christchurch and Dunedin, and through webinars and podcasts that share and showcase our work. Over the next day and a half, you are going to hear from an exceptional lineup of speakers. Join conversations that matter. But this is also a moment of change. At the end of this year, ConCOVE Tūhura will close, leaving a gap in the independent, sector-wide research and insight we've been able to provide. So that's why today is more than reflection, it's a call to action. The need for evidence-based, future-focused thinking in vocational education has never been greater. To our partners, supporters and colleagues, take this work forward. For God's sake, don't replicate it. Do it better. Keep finding the gaps, keep breaking down the barriers, keep creating opportunities for people to thrive. Thank you very much for being a part of this journey and for your commitment to the kaupapa. Let's make the most of our time together and ensure the work we've started continues to shape the future. Some of you already are. And I did warn Marcy I was going to do this. I can't see you, Marcy. Where are you, Marcy? Put your hand up. There she is. She's hiding. So Marcy Hintz is the chair of the Women's Advisory Group for ConCOVE. She's also the Education and Events Manager for New Zealand Certified Builders. And Marcy has taken most, if not all, of ConCOVE's work that we've produced to date and built it into products that NZCB are offering back to their members. Marcy's also up for 2 awards at the New Zealand Association of Training and Development Awards in mid-September, so best wishes to you and the team there, Marcy. But Marcy is one example of where we are seeing our work being picked up across the sector. In the past number of weeks, Louise and I have visited and talked to, and I'm only going to name a few, and forgive me if I miss any off, MIT, Toi Ohomai, Certified Builders, Master Builders, BCITO, NAWIC, the Construction Growth Foundation, the EMA, who are here in the room, New Zealand, NZTA, Waka Kotahi and Leanne, I see you in the room, Building Institute Aotearoa, Te Waihanga, Te Wānanga o Aotearoa, CCNZ, Brands, Vertical Horizons, Downer, Hawkins, ITENS, to name a few. And all of these people have told us how our work is influencing how they're shaping their future work. It's really encouraging. We have a lot more stakeholder meetings to come in the coming weeks, and we should be able to announce a home for our construction and workforce journey indicator products in the coming weeks. But our work has also highlighted some clear challenges. We have a vocational education crisis, an industry crisis, and a system crisis on our hands. It starts with a mismatch of skills, talent, and country needs, but we also have equally clear opportunities. Pathways into the sector are fragmented, and too often getting in depends on luck and maybe a bit of persistence, rather than a clear supported pathway in. And this is a classic example from one of our entry projects, where we mapped the infrastructure trades academies across New Zealand. The orange is where there's provision, the purple is no provision. So on the east coast of the North Island and for most of Te Waipounamu, there is no infrastructure trades academy provision. And these are two parts of New Zealand that are going to see a lot of need for infrastructure delivery in the coming months and years. Education is still misaligned with industry needs. We don't look at supply in relation to demand, and we wonder where talent will come from. We're still preparing people for yesterday's jobs while the sector moves on to tomorrow's. Our work on neurodiversity highlighted that unsupported dyslexia costs the workforce around $850 million a year, a staggering loss of both potential and productivity. There is no coordinated national apprenticeship strategy, and this comes up time and time again in our work, leaving any efforts that we make patchy and inconsistent. And we simply must have a conversation about industry levies and how they could reinvest directly in training and capability, not only for our learners, but also for our employers. At the same time, our work has shown what's possible when education aligns with the needs of learners and employers. The solutions are within reach. Micro-credentials can deliver rapid, focused upskilling if we can fund and market them properly. Degree-level apprenticeships are a viable pathway and an underused opportunity to blend vocational learning with higher practical experience with higher learning. We know low completion rates are a problem and they demand wraparound support. Helping apprentices overcome the personal and practical challenges that derail progress, but also supporting employers and those people who are supporting the employers and the learners in a training advisory or account management role along the way. And we must embrace the growing role of AI. It's here now, reshaping how we learn, how we assess, and prepare people for the future of work. The challenges are real, but the opportunities are within our grasp. If we act, we can create a system that works for learners, for employers, and for the sector as a whole. Now, it wouldn't be a presentation from me without a classic photo of infrastructure failing in New Zealand. So this is the Coromandel State Highway 25A Taparahi Road. It started collapsing in late January and then it completely fell to pieces through early February in 2023. The gap there grew to over 110 metres long. A single point of failure that cut the Coromandel Peninsula in two, and one of the only roads for me to get in to see my mum in Whitianga. The bridge was reopened in December 2023. It took almost a full year to identify the most appropriate rebuild solution, build and reopen this vital link. And we celebrated it because the project came in around 3 months earlier than planned. There are countless examples of where this has been done faster all over the globe. The difference comes down to resourcing, decision-making speed, and the productivity of the systems that support the recovery. If we continue to accept long delays as normal, we will keep paying the price in lost economic activity, in social disconnection, and in opportunities gone. If we want a more productive, more resilient New Zealand, we cannot settle for the status quo. If we do nothing, we will continue to see mismatched incentives, skill shortages, and infrastructure that fails and takes far too long to put right. So we've got to bring education to the fore in these conversations on infrastructure, on housing, on building a resilient New Zealand. But here's one of our problems. And I've used our Workforce Journey Indicators product to pull out some really key data here. Between 2023 and 2024, there was a 7.6% contraction in the construction and infrastructure workforce, due no doubt to economic downturn, general uncertainty, an election, and pausing of many, many projects. But the startling figure for me is the number of people disengaging from formal learning in the sector. In 2023, this number was 73,816, around about 17% of the total workforce. But by 2024, this number had dropped and almost, or actually over halved to 30,374 people, 8%. Over half of the people within the workforce are disengaging from formal learning. More surprising, Māori women are opting out from formal training at a higher rate than both Pākehā men and Pasifika women. And of the workforce, the Pasifika workforce of women, only 1% are engaging in formal training. We have a vocational education crisis on our hands. We are now at a turning point. We can choose to act or we can choose to do nothing, but if we continue with the status quo, we will not meet the needs of our sector. The evidence is really clear, not just in construction and infrastructure, but across many industries in Aotearoa. And a recent Food and Fibre ConCOVE report also pointed out the same challenges in the food and fibre sector. If we do nothing, we also have an industry crisis on our hands, and the numbers tell us a sobering story. Over the coming years, we could need up to 375,000 skilled construction and infrastructure workers. So that's almost half again of the workforce that we have now. In some industries, that could mean a shortfall of up to 50% of the workforce we require. Right now, apprentice completion rates are sitting between 40 and 60%, and they're rapidly reducing. Or rising, that's the better way to put it. That means that nearly half, and in some cases more than half, of our young apprentices are leaving before they qualify. And in a recent Civil Construction Association survey found that half of small businesses have no workers in apprenticeship or training programs at all. And even more alarming, that over a quarter of those surveyed told us they simply don't have the resources to train and mentor staff, even though they need them. Disjointed pathways into the sector, as I've said, is leaving talent behind, people who could be the skilled workforce of our future. And the incentives in our system don't match the areas of greatest demand, meaning we're not training enough people for the jobs that are going to matter the most. And perhaps most worrying, we're seeing more young New Zealanders leave the country, taking their skills, their energy, and their future contributions with them. If we do nothing, these trends will continue, and the cost to our industries, our economy, and our communities will be enormous. So what does all this add up to? Well, you've seen me say this before. The system is really designed to get the results it gets. This is the choice in front of us. If we continue down the current path, hoping things will improve on their own, or we can act together to create a vocational education system that truly works for both industry and learners, one that keeps our talent, our skills, and our future right here in Aotearoa. It's clear to me that we also have a system crisis on our hands. There's a lack of vision, there's a lack of continuity, and sure as eggs, one hand is not talking to the other. Here's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see you all disrupt the narrative. I'd like to see the people in this room acting now to create a vocational education system that is truly future ready, one that anticipates the skills that our industries will need, not just today, but 10, 20, and 50 years from now. We need generational change. We'll need to collaborate to combat underinvestment in vocational education. We'll need a collective view to deliver regionally responsive solutions in collaboration, not competition. We'll need education at the table for the big decisions on infrastructure, on housing, and ask every time, if this is the outcome that we want, how will we generate the workforce to deliver? And we will need to be brave and embrace well-designed and well-executed industry levies that also reward those who are engaging in training. Then and only then will all of these things be within our grasp. So, as ConCOVE concludes, we leave you with more than just the memory of our work. We leave you with a roadmap built from the voices of employers, industry, providers, and learners. We leave you with a body of evidence, robust, relevant, and ready to guide the decisions that matter. And most importantly, we leave you with the challenge. The power to act now sits with you. the employers, the leaders, the influencers, the people in this room. You have the networks, the resources, and the authority to shape what comes next. This is your turning point. The choices that you make in the weeks and months ahead will determine whether we build a vocational education system that's future-ready, that delivers high-wage jobs, that opens equitable pathways, and that inspires young New Zealanders to see their future here. And as you listen to the presentations over the next 2 days, please pause and reflect. What future will you choose for Aotearoa? One where we continue to face the same challenges year after year? Or one where we take bold, decisive action to change the game for our industries, our communities, and our people? We have done the groundwork, and now it's over to you. Thank you for joining us today, for your commitment to the kaupapa, and for the role you will play in shaping the future of vocational education in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Kia ora.
Thank you so very much, Katherine. Some sobering statistics there, some sobering messages there, so much work to be done yet. So some of the things that stayed with me is those, the disengagement, informal training, the non-completion that we've seen, all of those that is really painting a picture. Katherine's picture around the infrastructure picture and her lived experience of what it did to her life, those are the stories that we need to anchor in. The human experience if things are not going as it should be going in the sector. So how are we looking at the root causes for disengagement? How are we looking at the root causes for non-completion? And how do we start solving at that level? This is what these 2 days are about. This is what we are going to do in taking the work forward.